How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Gundam card game video here on Red Zone Rogue. It is currently 6 a.m. Where I live, and the Gundam card game's first ever banned and restricted announcement has been, unveiled, unleashed, and so far the reaction has been mixed. We're going to get into it and talk about it today. I feel like this is going to be a pretty short video because, well, the BNR announcement was also pretty short, but I kind of wanted to give my official thoughts because I held off until now about talking about the Gundam BNR until we actually had some, concrete things to say and to talk about. So forgive me a little bit. It is quite early here, but I really wanted to get my opinions out immediately. So actually, let's go ahead and jump into our overlay and talk about what they said, and then talk about why I think they did what they did, because they made a really interesting choice. So let's go into our overlay. All right, so here we have it, the very first Gundam card game banned and restricted card list. I'm just gonna call this BNR from here on out, which means banned and restricted. So if you're new to card games, and I know there's a lot of people who are new to card games with the Gundam card game, that's just kind of a lingo that everyone uses, BNR. All right, so we're gonna read this. Thank you all for your ongoing support of the Gundam card game. We, the Gundam card game developers and management team, have been keeping a close eye on the Gundam card game meta on a daily basis to ensure that playing remains enjoyable, and we'd like to use this opportunity to introduce a new system for banning and restricting cards in the Gundam card game. I'm not going to read this bit verbatim because it just talks about what a banned and restricted card is, and I'll just kind of give you the TLDR, right? So in the Gundam card game, you can have up to 4 copies of any given card in your deck. A banned card means you cannot play that in your deck at all, and a restricted card means you can play a specific number of them in your deck. And what we're talking about today is actually a restriction and not a ban, so keep that in mind. Nothing was banned, but we did have a restriction, which is, once again, something that I find kind of interesting here. Also of note that this particular restriction takes place as of April 1st, so very, very shortly from here. And as you can see, banned cards cannot be used in decks or sideboards. No additions, right? Now we have a restricted card. Corsica Base, restricted to 2. And that is the big change here. We have the Corsica Base card is now restricted to 2 across the Gundam card game. With the exception of, and they did note this, with the exception of starter deck events. If you're playing in a starter deck event and you're playing with the Gundam Wing starter deck, Corsica Base comes at 3 copies in that. You can still play your 3 copies in a starter deck event. So that's like the one exception here, which does make a lot of sense. But I do want to read what they wrote for Corsica Base specifically. So it says, originally designed as a base capable of deploying unit tokens as attackers while protecting the player throughout the game, Corsica Base exhibits a strong influence on game outcomes that has exceeded our expectations. Yeah, because all the other stuff, all the other stuff comes into play rested, and these ones don't. This card is included in a majority of decks using blue, and these decks have a high win percentage. We're adding it to the list as a restricted 2 in order to reduce its use in many faster decks, particularly blue-purple, and create more diversity in the meta. We recognize that 3 copies, yada yada, that's what I'm saying. That comes in the starter deck, and you can use them in the starter deck events. So, they just feel that the card is overtuned. And yeah, I mean, the card's obviously extremely good. It's a 3-cost card that basically draws you a card, gives you a base, and gives you either a 4/2 or 2 1/1s, both of which are not rested, so they can just jam. Like, it's really, really hard for your opponent to, like, jam into them and, like, deal with them, right? Another thing that I want to note here, and I'll have to find where they said it, but they did write that they want to do banned and restricted updates. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so this is where I didn't read this, but this part's really important. So it's, going forward, we expect to revise the banned and restricted card list once every 6 months, which is kind of a long time. While continuing to keep a close eye on the game meta, local tournament schedules, or similar considerations may influence the date on which these revisions are enacted. So every 6 months. And so that leads me to why I think they only restricted 1 card here. So if you're new to this, this is a pretty tempered BNR announcement. I know a lot of people were hoping for a lot more, and from what I've seen, specifically English-speaking players, From the Japanese side of things, I've actually noticed that a lot of folks are commenting that they think this is a really reasonable BNR update. And I feel like it is reasonable for sure, but it's very tempered. Put it that way. It's very, very cautious and very tempered. I don't hate that, but I think it makes a lot of sense given that they only plan to do this once every 6 months. And here's why. They're doing it now, and this goes into effect on April 1st, but you got to understand that literally today we have the release of a brand new product, the first Ultimate deck. So that's going to shake things up hopefully a little bit. I think Purple Zaft is really, really cool, and it could be pretty good. But more so than that, we have next month a brand new set. So just on April 24th, 23 days after the restriction is in effect, we have a brand new set, which could hopefully shake up the meta quite a bit. And then on top of that, just a couple months after that, we have the SD mini set and decks. So we're gonna have a mini set, and we're gonna have another batch of starters here. So it makes a lot of sense from a like development standpoint here. They're like, okay, we're gonna be a little bit tempered and see what happens as these new products and new cards are starting to roll out. Yeah, that's kind of my takeaway from this, and I don't want to assume too much, but that is kind of my assumption on why they only restricted just the Corsica base. I think they wanted to be a little bit more tempered. And keep in mind, once again, if you are unfamiliar with how BNR announcements work and how these can kind of really shake up not just the meta, but just the ecosystem of a card game, if you're too heavy-handed, you can kind of ruin things. You can absolutely gut decks, make them like unplayable, and then everyone who spent money on those cards becomes angry, and then the metas shifts wildly. So if they completely nuked aggro decks in the Gundam card game, then blockers would have a huge resurgence, right? And do you want just every deck to be a blocker deck? Probably not. Like I can't imagine anyone out there is like, oh, I want all blockers all the time. So it's a really delicate balance. As I mentioned, personally speaking, I felt like maybe they're a little bit too cautious and tempered on this one. I think this is fine. This is fine, but I think they maybe could have done a little bit more. I didn't think they would hit Amuro Ray, just because we literally know there's a new RX-782 Gundam LR in the next set, right? Like, so they're not gonna take out the main character that literally links with the a new flagship LR right before the set launches without having a replacement. I can see starter deck Amuro getting hit once they actually make a replacement for Amuro, like a different copy, like a different blue one, right? Just a blue one with a different effect, or like when linked instead of when paired, or something like that. I'm generally against functional errata. I would rather than print a brand new card than print some functional errata, and they have some opportunities to print a brand new card. They can put it in a new starter deck. They can put it in that new what is it called? They're doing like a new box set thing that I can't remember what they're exactly calling it, but we'll find it. We'll find it here. Yeah, the deck build Freedom Ascension. So they could put it in something like this, a pre-constructed product where everyone can get full copies of. So anyway, I digress. So I do find this pretty interesting, and I do think it's gonna maybe tailor how we should have our expectations of BNR announcements of the Gundam card game going forward. It definitely feels, well, obviously feels like they're extremely cautious about the whole thing. So I'm very curious to know what y'all think in the comment sections down below. I imagine most people are not happy. That's my takeaway, and that's what I've seen recently. Most people wanted more, and I get that. And like I said, I think they could have done more. This once again, I feel like this is very tempered. There's a couple other things they could have hit without completely gutting it, but it definitely feels like they want to be cautious, especially with all of these products just right on the horizon. So here's my hope that Set 4 shakes things up quite a bit. they just spoiled an amazing. I'm talking about spoilers in a separate video, but dude, I'm so stoked about one of the new purple cards that they spoiled for Zaft. Dude, it's so sweet. It's high maneuver that also lets you play something from your graveyard when you attack. It's so rad. Here, let me pull it up. This one, yo, this is so sick. The Destiny Gundam. Yeah, high maneuver during parent on attack. You can choose a Minerva Squad unit from your trash. Pay its cost to deploy it. I love this card. I love it. It's a nice little unblockable finisher thing that also just gets your dudes back. Good stuff. And it's also just during pair, not during link. So I'm a big fan. I think the purple Minerva Squad Zaft has got some legs. It looks super awesome and grindy, and a lot of value and recursion. We'll talk about it all when we talk about all the other spoilers. They dropped a bunch of stuff today, but yeah, Corsica Base restricted to 2 now. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Short video today because that's all there is to talk about regarding this. Next week we have a bunch of stuff. We have the ultimate deck video that I'm going to be doing. I'm getting my Gundam Wing collection today, so I'm going to open that and maybe do a little bit of a giveaway because I don't need 2 playmats. And then we have spoilers to talk about as well. So, and then also more stuff. Hey, you know what? I have actually, let's go back to me real quick. Yo, it's me again. Yo, I was going to show this. I have the next deck tech. This is the Psycho deck. This is a mono blue Jupiterus Psycho deck. It's really cool. I like it. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe hype the video. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff in the comment section down below. Do you think they were too cautious with the BNR? Do you think they could have done a lot more? I imagine, yes. I imagine most people would say they should have done a lot more, but curious to know what you think. So let me know. Thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate you for being here. We'll see you next time.